This one was so close. Really fun match, back and forth. Some cool moments in it. Let's take a look. I'll just fast forward to the start here. Okay, so game on. We're looking for some grips. Vlad's establishing some dominant grips. That's good. Getting his collar tie. So this can be a nice strategy for off-balancing your partner and forward, as well as tiring them out at the beginning of the match. So Vlad had double collar ties. He was pulling down on them on his head, and that will tire out his opponent, which is a nice way to start off the match. Tire him out a little bit. This was a really nice catch there. It's a very small move, but his opponent is fishing for this single leg, and because of Vlad's arm positioning, he catches into the underhook and shuts that down right away. See, boom. Catches that. His opponent has to bail on it immediately, pulls back. Vlad's got an underhook, and his opponent pulls back into a mini collar tie, and then they disconnect. But that was a really nice win in that exchange. Okay, now here there's an out of position moment. Yeah, so here his opponent's starting to try to pummel in, and Vlad's got his arm pretty high. So his arm is going over his opponent's head rather than the whizzer. So I think he might have been trying to scoop this leg up, or I'm not sure, but he ends up in a position that's highly out of position. So his opponent has an underhook and the leg on the inside. What Vlad would like would be to shut the underhook with a whizzer and get his leg on the inside. But here his opponent's got that. Now Vlad is doing a pretty good job of trying to turn this into a scoop single, so he was using that hand to try to collect his partner's leg here. So he's trying to collect it with his foot first and then reach with his arm, but his connection arm was out of position, which allowed his opponent to get a much deeper underhook and capitalize on that. Now, it's not wrong to go for that kind of pull single, that reaching across with, in this case, his left hand, reaching across to that near side leg. It's not wrong, but I much prefer it with an underhook rather than an overhook here. And in this case, Vlad's overhook is more like a head grab. So you'd rather have an underhook, if not an underhook, at least a whizzer, but the underhook is what I like to go for that knee pull single with. So a bit of a scramble to the ground, and ends up in bottom half guard with his head caught. So from here, he does a good job of relieving the pressure from his head using the scorpion hook or the lockdown. So he's still got his head in there, but he's trying to relieve the pressure with that and eventually free his head. It's not a fun position to be in. And his opponent is working his other foot inside slowly, finally gives up the wrap around the head, transitions to more traditional chest-to-chest half guard. So right here we see Vlad flat on his back, and he would rather be on his side, rather be on his left side if possible. So he's working on trying to get his frames. It's hard to see from this angle what's going on. His opponent is pretty happy in this position. He's up on 2 points, so he doesn't seem to be doing much. Just maintaining that chest-to-chest pressure and keeping his opponent flat. All right, Vlad's seeing some pretty good progress here. He's got an underhook, but his opponent is freeing his knee, and with that comes the danger of getting passed. So Vlad switches to the other side. That was really slick, going from one side to the other. This is something that I saw in the other match as well. We see Vlad reaching around, let's go back a little bit more. Yeah, the arm around the head. So from here he goes in for his half guard and reaches his arm around the head. Now, reaching the head in this way is not always a bad idea. In fact, in some cases it's a really good idea. But in this case, he's reaching the head in a way that places his opponent's head and hips on opposite sides of his body. If he had managed to reach his other arm, so in this case his right arm around his partner's head, if his partner's head was on the other side of his body, then he would have a viable threat for a guillotine. But as it stands, this is not an advisable time to take that headlock style grip. And he quickly realizes that and then tries to find a better position for his left arm. Now he's trying to half guard hip bump style sweep. and uses the space created from that in order to come into a bit more of a butterfly guard. His opponent is trying to find an opportunity to pass here. It's a bit of back and forth, kind of scrambly. Some good posting, some good framing. Both players are being very active. Now here his opponent switches to a body lock style pass. And as he does, Vlad's got a game of kind of a rubber guardish switching to omoplata's game. But it's hard to do when your opponent has a body lock because they're really stuck to you. It is possible, but quite hard to do. Both players just trying to scramble for dominant grips. I think they're going to have to reset the match pretty soon. They're getting out close to the side. So this is interesting. Vlad's playing a more traditional half guard here. Let's go back just a little bit. So he's got the knee shield. He's got some posture, head control. I think he might be looking for the wrist with his left arm. So this is a more traditional kind of half guard. And from it, he gets a really cool opportunity for a triangle as his opponent reaches around to try to do some kind of pressure passing or stack passing. Vlad's able to snap up a triangle or a trap triangle for now because it's not fully locked in, just his ankles are locked. But he's got head and arm within his guard. And here, great reaction to pull on the head. The next step is to get the angle. So you want to break the posture down and then get an angle. So you bring your head in towards your partner's knees and your feet going in the other direction in order to fully lock up the triangle. But his opponent knows that and is trying to prevent him from coming in. He's preventing him to do that with a post on the bicep and pressuring up with his legs. Sorry, with his not with his legs, with his back. And he's trying to throw his legs over to get a better point to push off of so that he can posture up. And here Vlad's still just trying to get the posture down so that he can work towards locking up the triangle. Now, locking up the triangle is probably the best idea from here. However, you can always transition to an armbar before locking up the triangle. The triangle is a more certain submission, so it's a higher percentage submission in that if you do get the triangle locked on, you can often translate it into an armbar from a much more secure position. So it's nice from a control point of view. However, it's good to know that that other option exists as well. Not to mention the omoplata, which I know Vlad is quite versed in. That's part of his game plan. So from here, when your opponent is sitting down, it's a good idea for you to get up. Because he's sitting down, he has a limited amount of ability to post behind him because he doesn't have his legs behind him. He's sitting on his butt. So he doesn't have a post in that direction, which means if you get up, you can often get a pretty easy sweep here, which is what Vlad does. So he's posting up, rolls over and gets on top. And here I would like to see him sit back a little bit and really settle down into the triangle. But I think he senses that he's losing it and tries to just come out of it, and in the scramble ends up losing position because his leg is caught and his opponent turns it into a wrestle up and does a little takedown there. But that was a really great move of getting up from the triangle. So that was a nice way to capitalize on his opponent being sitting down. Resetting them back into the center. The referee is adjusting the advantage points. I think he had misdelivered them. Okay, you can see them adjusted there on the bottom of the screen. So Vlad's going for an omoplata here. It would be really nice from this point if he could turn it into a sweep. One way that he could turn it into a sweep is if this arm, instead of coming up here, which is the right thing to do when you're doing an omoplata, but one other option is to grab the leg and then purposely roll the person over you, so away from the camera. When I learned that sweep, I learned it as the hot dog roll, but I probably got a better name than that. So because he's so much on his side, and really when you're doing the omoplata, you'd rather be on your back or on your side facing your opponent, but now he's on his side facing away from his opponent, that might be a viable solution or alternative right now to this. Because seeing as he's so much on his side, his opponent's able to free his arm and transition into a passing position, kind of arm drag, leg drag position here. Not a great spot to be in, but Vlad did a marvelous job of posting with his arms and turning in towards his partner and not giving up the pass there. which is pretty hard from a leg drag position. Back into his half guard. Again, a flattened half guard, it would be better if he were on his side right now. Vlad on his left side would be more dangerous than Vlad flat on his back here with his half guard on the right. Using the knee shield to create some space. Under a minute to go. Down by 2. There would have been another opportunity for a triangle there. Vlad noticed it, but just a little bit too late, and his opponent was able to pull out. From here, his opponent's working on this this pressure passing, this kind of body lock style passing, and in order to do it, he wants to get to a point where he can have his hips and his head on opposite sides of his body. And anytime someone's doing that, you have an opportunity to push your opponent's head to the same side of their hips and shut down their passing. Here Vlad is going back to his full guard. I think he sets up his he sets up the omoplata again, this time a lot tighter. With only 5 seconds left, it's just not enough time, but a little bit more time here, and we could have seen a very different match. That was really fun. Good match, Vlad. Very fun. Looking forward to the next one.